Hi everyone, this is Mark with RV's Tips, Tricks, and Hacks. Today I'm going to show you a video of how we install a third air conditioner in our coach just during the hot summer months when we need it. We don't need it year-round, so we're not going to pay to put one on the roof and lose a vent and everything else that goes with that procedure. The problem with this is it does take up a little bit of room in your coach. You do have to be willing to sacrifice some room, but it provides extra cooling to the coach and to the little office space I use. So that's why we do it a couple of months out of the year. A key component of this is, though, the power. The power does not come from your coach. If you need this modification, you're probably already running your coach at max power anyway. So you do not run it from the coach power. It may trip all the breakers immediately. It could cause other issues. So you run this outside to that spare 15 or 20 amp breaker that's in your pedestal, and we'll show you how to do that. The other thing is you will need a stand. My stand is overbuilt for this, but it worked for the trailer that we used to have. That's what I originally built it for, and I had leftover 2x4 lumber, so rather than running to the lumber store, I just built it out of the 2x4s. However, you will need the stand, some type of stand, because you have to drain the water somewhere that the air conditioner pulls out of the air. I have a pan you'll see on this stand that I pull out, and I dump the excess water in the sink. So that gives you another thing you've got to watch out for this. You cannot leave this modification running when you are not in the coach and available to dump the water. If that's the case, you do not want to put this modification in. Another thing I want to point out is, if your coach is just not putting down enough cooling, look online, look on YouTube for the people that have had issues with their RV vents, and some of them look pretty bad. If you've got this system, a little bit of tape might help you out in the vents, and then there's some modifications inside the air conditioner that might give you all the cooling air that you need. You may not need this modification. My vents happen to be okay. The air conditioners are okay. We've checked and fixed what we needed to fix there. I still need a little bit of extra air down here in New Mexico. So with that, we're going to get to the video, and I'll be back at the end. Alright, one of the main problems is we have two roof airs that basically control the back. But I need a remote office space, and rather than taking up the dining table, one of the things we really looked at on the Thor coach was this office right here. Well, this office has a pretty nice space. It comes out to where the person can actually work on it without being all hunched over, and it was actually the best one we saw between diesel and gas both. So we have the dashboard up here, we have the area of the driver, but I can work from right here, maybe make an office stand over here on the rest of it above the driver's console with a printer and some other things that I need. So we need to figure out how to air condition this front area. So that's what we're going to do today. One thing that makes this a little more difficult in most motorhomes and trailers now is they use seamless windows throughout most of the coach. So you need a sliding window to be able to do this, no matter what type of extra temporary air you put in. This opening is about 22 inches and a half by 26, and I'm going to cut a piece that will just fit out of this. We will have to tape when we put it in a little bit to seal the edges, but if you use this, it's a lot quicker and easier if you already make something that will just fit into the sliding window. Alright, I decided not to use lumber for this at the current prices, and I had an old piece of beadboard we had used in a renovation project for my daughter's room. It cut out quite nicely. This should protect it from the weather, and besides, this is not a permanent installation. It would have to be taken apart and reinstalled each time that you park and need an extra air conditioner down here in one of the hot places, or even up north, maybe in the hot of summer when the humidity and everything is up. So this is the outside piece. You can see it fits right into the hole. The final piece that will hold it, you could put weather stripping around the side. We just tend to use some duct tape to seal up the holes. It helps hold it into place. Not the most pretty item. You can paint this, of course, to match your coach, whatever you want to do. But we actually, the tape will seal up the corners here to where it keeps the cool air in and the hot air out. Alright, I've now managed to get the piece through the hole that I cut out for it. It's a little tough simply because you've got to keep the hole small enough to get it through, but still keep this lip so that it will catch the material that you're using. We'll seal up the back of it as well. So I'm going to go put the extra piece of wood on that I need around here to hold it into place so it doesn't do what it's doing right there, and put the support pieces around the edges to hold these lips as well. Again here, I suggest making a cardboard template, simply because your lip is pretty small on that piece and you need to fit it as close as possible. Quick and easy to cut out a template, then you just trace around and cut the wood out. Alright, this is where we set. I've now made the piece that will cover it. It's just simply a little hole that will hold onto this lip right here, not at all points, but it will hold. I chose a piece of solid lumber because the plywood I was using kept cracking on me. So I'll need to put 4 holes in to hold it into place. I'll put some support wood on the back. I'll also drill a hole here for the power cord, because remember, this is a spare air conditioner, so you don't really want to run it off your inside coach. Alright, this is the next step in the process. I put the wood on, it's holding it in place. I countersunk these holes for no other reason than I didn't have the right size screws just to go from top to bottom, but this is not a stress item, so it's not a big deal. Simply put some wood on the very back to make it so that it would pull through and hold itself in place. I also drilled a hole for that power cord I talked about. This will be sort of in the way a little bit in the room, I do agree with you. This right here is the piece we just made, which is actually going to go in that window right there. Then you have the hose that will connect up to the piece in the back. The stand-up air conditioner, you can get these at Sam's, Walmart, Costco, wherever you go to. We put ours on a stand because you have to have somewhere for the water to go. And there's the water tube down there. I actually put a tube in the back of this. There's a tray underneath so that I can pull it out and dump the water, and it's on wheels so that we can roll it around. Now this, like I said, was used in our Mallard trailer, and in that it was perfect. It just went right up in front of the sink, and we had another sink, so everybody was fine with that. This one's going to be a little bit in the way because it's going to be in the front area, so we might lose one of the chairs to turn around in when we need it. But when it's 110 outside in Arizona and the sun's just beating down on you, you need a third air conditioner. As we learned a long time ago at the lake, it's nothing but hot in the middle of the day if you're in camp. So we take a little bit of loss of space to be able to have the coolness. Okay, I'm going to show you this in pieces on how I put it together on the inside. We basically have the finished product. We've put this in the window. Make sure to push your window against your piece here to make sure it's nice and snug. You have to put tape around the outside and the inside both to seal it. But you've also got to remember that this long hose comes over to your cooler. Now this may not be your setup in your coach. I'm just showing you the way we have to set it up in ours, because these are our only sliding windows. Is the driver and the passenger seat is going to be my office when I'm out on the road working. If you're just using this for fun, you don't really need the other seat anyway. You've got whatever reason you need a third air conditioner when it's hot. One thing I want to re-stress. Yes, it has its own breakers on it, but you never, ever, ever plug this into your coach power. If you need something like this, you're already at your max on your coach. I can guarantee it. Now this little modification right here is simply so I can take about half the air. This air is going to come into the coach when I'm working. This air is going to go into where I'm working. And if I don't need it, or we want to cool the coach down fast, I've used some simple little command clips, and I've been able to make it so that this can slide right into these clips, right into the top clips, and go right on and off. I'll put the top ones in here in a second. So that is simply for my office, if you remember the main reason this project got started, because it's hot up front. Okay, here I've wrapped the tube. You do need to wrap completely around it. You can use some tape to hold it in place if you want to, but you've got to go completely around it, not just drape it over it, otherwise you've got the heat coming out the bottom. You will find if you don't do this, you'll be putting almost just as much heat in as you're taking out. Alright, I did want to show everyone that I did finish the window plate to be able to let the air conditioner work from inside the coach. I was going to paint it coach colors, but then I decided it was going where a black window basically went, so let's just paint it a black. That's a metallic black that I used there. I also put this Gorilla Tape around the edge to help seal the edges a little bit better, but mainly because when you do tape this in, because I said this is only a temporary solution, it is not meant to be permanent. We're going to tape it in and then pull tape off. Over time, tape becomes part of whatever it's attached to, so when we put tape on top, it should be able to pull off without pulling any tape off, or paint off. Here you can see I did put that screen over the opening, so I no longer have to put anything in it when we're not using it to stop bugs from flying in. So we're going to put that in. Alright, there we see the air conditioning window unit in place at our actual campground being used. Kind of camouflages it a little bit by mixing it in with the window. Like I said before, you never ever ever plug this into your coach itself. You're already probably operating at max. As you can see, we just ran a simple power cord down to the power box through a hole I made in the panel itself. Okay everyone, that's it. Hopefully it was self-explanatory enough in the video. If you got any questions, put them in the comments. I'll do my best to get to them as soon as possible. The key takeaways are still, only plug this into the 15 or 20 amp circuit breaker that you have spare in the pedestal outside, and nothing else gets plugged into that circuit. That's the only circuit for this. You also must remember to dump your water regularly. If you leave the coach, nobody's here to dump the water, you cannot leave this running. You'll have a mess that you come back to. So with that, if you like the video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you out there.